Hi everyone, welcome to episode 65 of the YarnderWoman podcast. My name is Melinda. You can find me as YarnderWoman on Instagram and Ravelry. Today we are joined by everyone's favourite guest star, YarnderMum, otherwise known as Kathy, but YarnderMum to all of us.
Hello everybody.
I know a lot of people have been very keen to have YarnderMum back on, and if this is your first time viewing, you're in for a treat because YarnderMum is, as I said, everyone's favourite, so welcome.
Thank you.
Today is Sunday the 10th of September 2017. I'll probably be uploading in the next couple of days, so as to when you're watching this, I guess it's when you're watching it, so that was clever, yes, good. Anyway, you can find show notes for this episode on www.yarnderwoman.blogspot.com.au. We also have a Ravelry group for the podcast, so just search for YarnderWoman Podcast in the groups tab. And let's get on with the show, shall we?
Good idea.
Yes, we've got quite a lot to do because we are going out later on, so let's start by broaching the subject. So, do you have anything to tell us about your brooch? Do you know where you got it?
I think my late husband gave me this some time ago, so it's very special.
Yes, might have been that he got it when you were on your trip to France, I think.
That's the one.
Yes. So yes, unfortunately we can't tell you where that one's from other than France, so good luck.
Well, Ray and I went on a round the world cruise.
Well, not a cruise, but a trip.
We went from England, Ireland, France and Italy. What a wonderful trip that was.
Lots of nice memories.
Absolutely.
Yes, and this lovely brooch is one of them. Yes. And my brooch, I also couldn't tell you where I got it other than Perth. The shop I got it from is now closed down, sadly, so yes, sorry. But I guess mine has a similar theme in that, you know, YarnderMum's was given to her from her husband. I bought it sort of as a reference to Damien, my partner, because his nickname from me is Saru, which is Japanese for monkey. And this is a long connecting thread, let me get there. So then there's the graphic novel or comic series, Y the Last Man. And that's fantastic. I'll put a link because if you haven't read it, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And in that there is a monkey and the character's name is Ampersand, and this symbol for and is called the ampersand. Hence, I got it in reference to Damien because I call him Saru, which is monkey, and ampersand is a monkey. There you go, connecting threads. We got there in the end.
I hope you got all that.
Yeah.
But lovely themes there.
Yes, indeed. So yes, thank you for broaching with us. What we're going to do now is announce the prizes. We've got quite a few. That was for the Wonder Woman wrap knit along, the third Podiversary giveaway, and the read along. So if you are not interested in hearing the winners or you weren't participating, I've put all the timestamps to all the segments underneath this video, whether you're watching it through YouTube, off the Ravelry group or off the blog. Either way, all the timestamps will be there. So if you're not interested, just skip ahead past the prizes segments and we'll catch you up again in works in progress. But for everyone who does want to know the prizes, let's get going. Okay, so first off, we'll look at the third Podiversary prize drawing. So thank you so much to everyone who entered and all those lovely comments. A lot of them were about wanting to see more of YarnderMum and that you were their favourite part. So the people have spoken. What it is
to be favourites.
Exactly. The people have spoken. We have to give the people what they want. So there we go. So first up, we had 56 posts in the thread. So obviously the first one was mine. So we drew between 2 to 56. And the first prize is this lovely bunch of mini skeins, kindly given to us by Daydream Yarns. And it's the Mystical Creatures mini set. So there's all sorts of fun in there, isn't there? Yes. So the winner of that, plus a YarnderWoman sticker. YarnderWoman sticker. The winner for that was post number 11, Loves Licorice Nat in Melbourne. Yay! So that was the first winner. Second prize, I've just dropped part of it. Fear not, it went on a clean carpet. So we have donated from Circus Tonic Handmade in the Providence Petrol colourway. It's lovely single ply. Look at those greys, isn't that gorgeous? Along with 2 different blue minis from Space Frog Yarns. So that all goes together. That prize was won by post number 23, Aussie Maria in Sydney. Yay! Oh, plus a YarnderWoman sticker, of course. YarnderMum said she just wants this one.
I like the bunny rabbits.
Yes, they're very cute. Well, I have one in this same print, so you can borrow mine. But we'll still have to give this one away as a prize. So this one was donated to us by Little Skein in the Big Wall. So gorgeous project bag, plus a YarnderWoman sticker. And the winner of that one was post number 48, the Zencha from Croatia. Yay!
Yay!
And our fourth prize, I don't have to show you physically, but here is a photo. So that is the gorgeous Sorrento shawl by the fabulous designer Marcia Ibuki, who is Fairy Little and has the Fairy Little podcast. And the winner of that lovely shawl was post number 7, try Linda from Pennsylvania. Yay! So can everyone please send me a private message on Ravelry with your postal details if it is something that I need to send, and I will get that out to you. Now, I didn't really think this through because I'm traveling to Japan at the end of this week, so depending on when you see this episode to see that you won, I may have already left Australia and not be able to post your prizes for a few weeks, so I do apologise for that, but get in touch as soon as you see it and I will get them to you as soon as I'm able to. There just might be a few weeks of delay. Okay, so we had the YarnderWoman wrap knit along. So the YarnderWoman wrap is a free pattern by Carissa Browning that is just fantastic. If you weren't able to join us in the knit along, I really do recommend you still knit the pattern because it's just fantastic. Even if you're not a YarnderWoman fan, I don't know why you wouldn't be. Silly. Obviously I'm joking. If you're not a fan, that's fine. Everyone is fine to choose what they like. But
you've got to do it this way.
That's right, no. But what I mean is, even if you're not a YarnderWoman fan, it's still a great pattern because I think when you're wearing it, it's not necessarily as out there depending on what colours you used. So here is a picture of the pattern if you are not familiar. So let's announce our prizes. So the thread is locked now for prizes, but do go and have a look because there's some great items there that people have been knitting. I really love everyone's colour choices. Very good fun. So there were, where are we? 69 posts. So there are actually 73, but posts 70 to 73 were me commenting on other people's posts, so I didn't bother including those. So between 2 and 69, random number generator. The first winner was post number 36, who is CG Knits from the South. Yay! So, in addition to a YarnderWoman sticker, now this is all wrapped up, so I don't want to take it out, but it's really descriptive, isn't it? It's a tote bag, and it's a YarnderWoman design that an Etsy maker who's sadly no longer selling had made in an homage to the podcast. So it's a tote bag. I don't want it, there's no way to open it, so I will leave it shut. But CG, let me know. That will be on its way to you. Okay, the next prize is a little bundle, so I'll just hold things up as separately. So this is a brooch. It's a little witch cat, and I think it's so cute for any time of year, but with Halloween coming up, very appropriate. Then there are some YarnderWoman badges. This one is the traditional YarnderWoman logo, but these two are original YarnderWoman artwork by DKS Art and Design, who's my partner Damien. So one coloured version and one well, black and white, but then with the coloured costume. Both? Yes, there you go. And this gorgeous yarn, this is from Dyed by Hand Yarns, and it's the colourway Silver Screen, and it's grey with all these lovely speckles throughout. So yes, that with the other two badges that YarnderMum's holding. That's one little prize package. Oh, and a sticker, of course. And the winner of that one was post 69, No Dice, Jill from LA. Congratulations, Jill. Yay! Jill has the Skein Enable podcast, which is one of my favourites, so do go and check that out as well. So thank you, YarnderMum. We'll put all those together for Jill. And then we had 2 pattern prizes kindly donated to us by the lovely Lucia, who is Pearl of the Pacific. She has the Knitted Paradise podcast, and it's also one of my favourites, so go and check that out. So the winners will be able to choose a pattern of their choice from Lucia's great catalogue. And the first winner is post number 64, Mazbug Colleen from the USA. Yay! And the next pattern prize winner was post number 5, Atanzulu. That's Attnzulu. So I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that differently. And Atanzulu, you don't have any other name or location details, so I haven't got any other identifiers. So I will put that up in writing on the show notes just so you can see in case I'm not pronouncing it in a way that makes it obvious that it's your name. So post number 5 in the Wonder Woman wrap cowl thread. I'll get the words out. So if you think it's kind of like your Ravelry name, let me know. And yay! So again, thank you for everyone who entered. If I called your name and it's a physical prize, please send me a personal message with your postal address. If you want a pattern, please let me know which of Lucia's patterns you would like, and then I'll get in touch with Lucia and have her send that to you. Again, I won't be able to necessarily send the physical prizes unless I hear from you very soon, because then I'll be in Japan. So again, apologies for that, but I'll get it to you as soon as I'm able to. Okay, and the third lot of prizes we have was for the red along. So you had to knit anything using red. That thread made me especially happy. Just seeing red makes me happy. You'd never know, would you?
No. Never.
So the prizes we have for the red along, red yarn, because I thought if you've used red yarn for the red along, you're going to need some more red yarn, because we must always keep our stocks up, I feel. Now, it's very difficult for me to give these away because, oh, they're so pretty. But this is what I do for you people, you see. I love you all. No, I'm serious. I do love you all, and I'm more than happy to send these prizes your way. So we had 102 posts, but number 101 and 102 were mine. So again, I just did the prize drawing between 2 and 100. So our first winner was actually post number 2, who is Maths Catherine from Melbourne. Yay! So Catherine, you will be winning this skein from Laser Sheep Yarns, and it's got the little badge as well, and this beautiful tonal red. So that one will be coming to you. And I actually have 2 skeins of that, so similar one. Obviously it's, you know, hand dyed is always slightly different, but the winner of this second one was post number 77, Christy from Exmouth in WA. Yay! So WA is where Perth is, for the state we're in, but Exmouth is probably about, what do you reckon, 15-hour drive north?
That'll do.
Something like that. So yeah, quite far north, but it's a lovely section, beautiful beaches, and yeah, lovely areas. So Christy, let me know your address and I will get that off to you. Thank you for entering. And our third winner gets this beautiful skein of Pirate Pearl yarn. So Pirate Pearl is an Australian dyer, and we actually got this in Bendigo last year. And I got it specifically for the red along. I was thinking ahead. So Pirate Pearl yarns, beautiful red. And the winner of that is post number 91, Emil Carve 1963, Amelia from Massachusetts. Yay! Wonderful. So again, these are all physical prizes. So yes, please send me a private message with your postal address and I will get them out to you again as soon as I can, be that before I go to Japan or after. Whew, that was a lot of prizes. So thank you everyone, and thank you for participating. It was lovely to be in those threads. We won't have another knit along for the moment. Maybe when I get back from Japan we'll have something, because I'm planning to get some prizes while I'm away for you soon. All right, let's go and look at works in progress. Okay, works in progress. So the first one I've got is actually on hold until the intended recipient can try it on. So it's living in my little bobbins DPN Cozy, and it's some more fingerless knits. I have some fingerless mitts to show you in finished objects. I usually do finished objects first. I'm not sure why we've done it out of order today. It's throwing me a bit. I'll try and move on. So, fingerless mitts in black and rainbow yarn. What do you reckon?
Gorgeous.
So the bottom ribbing is the black and the very top ribbing is going to be black too. So that is Knit Pick Stroll Fingering in the colourway black. Very descriptive, very appropriate. And then the main body, the rainbow, is Knit Picks Felici in rainbow. Yet another very appropriate name. So these are for Sophie, the Yarnder Teen's boyfriend, and I got them to send me a photo of the two of them putting their hands like this so that I could adjust the size because I know how big to make the ones for the Yarnder Teen. So I think it's okay, but I want him to try it on, especially like the thumb hole size, before I keep going, because if it's not right, then obviously I'll need to rip out, which is fine. So I knit those last week and he hasn't been over since. So they're just sitting and waiting. There's no rush. And they're living in my Star Wars Ray bag that was made for me by the lovely Mel, do by Mel. She doesn't have an Etsy store, sorry, but she's got this lovely, she did give us a prize for a previous podcast though, so you have seen her work. YarnderMum's enjoying being back on the camera.
Yes.
So those are the pattern Ever After Mitts by Susan B. Anderson, and as I said, I've knit many of those before, so definitely a good one to check out. What I'm knitting now, and is sort of on hold, but not exactly, not as on hold as the mitts. Those are on hold for a big time, these are on hold for a little time. So I've started some little ankle socks. So there we go there, that's the top here for the ankle, then the heel down here, and I'm up to the toe. So I have got two, and they're both at a very similar place, bar I think one stripe of purple. And I actually have that here. Now the reason it's separated is, this was, remember in the last episode I was mentioning that I quite often choose my projects based on what yarn is just ready to go? Same thing here. So this is White Birch Fibre Arts in the colourway Emo Enough, like the question mark, Emo Enough. And as with most White Birch colourways, she does this beautiful gradation within the self-striping, and even in the black, it's a little bit hard to see on the camera, but you can see in the middle there it's a bit lighter. So even the black itself goes in a gradient, but especially the purple does. So loving that. Now actually YarnderMum's just put her foot up, and the socks she's wearing is actually White Birch as well.
Excuse me.
It'd be easier if we just took off the sock. So this is also White Birch Fibre Arts, and I believe this colourway was called No Damn Peach Schnapps, which I think was a line from an episode of The Walking Dead, and that's what the blue is referencing. So that's the foot there. So you can see the gradient, in this case it goes lighter into darker, and then the blue, and this is knit in the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern. And this is a merino cashmere base, so you quite enjoy wearing those?
I do.
Yes, all right, well, we'll just put that back on YarnderMum's foot. Just bear with me a minute. Right, we are shod again. Not shod, but socked. Yes. So, back to these. I had some, I think it was about 37 grams left. I had used this previously in the pattern, I think it was called Typhoon. It was a shawl pattern by Josh Ricks, and it utilises short rows in stripes. You use a self-striping yarn and it gets colours. I think, I can't remember why, but I stopped the pattern halfway, so it just made a really small shrug rather than the full shawl, which meant I still had this yarn left. So when I went to knit some socks, and I was thinking some ankle socks would be good because I have a few commercial pairs of ankle socks that I wear with my sneakers just for my commute to and from work. So I wear the proper walking shoes, then I change into office shoes when I get there. So I thought because some of my commercial ones are getting a bit beyond, it would be really good to replace them with some handmade ones. And having that little bit of yarn was perfect. So what I did was I cast on from one end and then found the other end of the ball and cast on the second one. Now I wanted them both to start with the black, also because I didn't know how much there was of each, so I thought I'd just keep them as similar as possible. So I actually had to cut off a full repeat of the purple at the other end of the ball to then get to the black, but that's fine because all it means now is I've got exactly the right amount. I just join that purple one onto here and then they'll both be ready to go. Now to maintain the stripes, I did the heel in a different yarn. This is the Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern, and this is using, I haven't got the tag, I don't have any of the tags, it's no different, but this is Woolen Vine yarn in the colourway Nevermore. It's her beautiful, beautiful tonal gradient, and this is actually a merino cashmere nylon base. This one, the stripes is merino nylon, but the thickness was very similar, so it was, when I went to find a contrasting yarn, that one worked really well in terms of the thickness to marry up with the yarn. So what I'm going to do for the toe, now that I've run out of the stripes, I'm actually just going to go back and use more of that one. I think I have the ball here. Excuse me. When I say ball, it's a messy cake. This one had also been previously used, and what was that for? I think for the Riley Rose shawl by Jennifer Lassonde, I'd used this grey. So again, this one was ready to go and easy to use for the heel. You want to hold it? So yes, so if YarnderMum ever gives it back and stops playing with it, it will be the toe. So that'll go there. And it's really quite perfect. I think I counted on the one that I've finished all of the stripes for. I think I'm only about 4 rows short from where I would normally start my toe anyway. I use the Skedaddle pattern toe, the toe from the Skedaddle pattern by Lena Gerald. So it works out perfectly. I just have a few extra rows of the toe colour. So very nice project of make whips, not waste. That was a hashtag that lovely Mars of Hey Brownberry podcast was using for her no waste cowl earlier in the year. But I think it's a very good sentiment to use in general, to not waste. And this is perfect, using up yarns that were, I mean, I'm not going to use up all of that. I'll still have more of this gorgeousness to use for something else. But I've used up all that stripe. I've made an item, not quite, I'm making an item that is going to be a handmade replacement to something commercial. So yeah, I'm very happy with this project indeed. What do you think?
Yes, it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Yes. So in terms of the pattern, as I said, that's the Fish Lips Kiss heel, but all I did was just cast on stitches, do as much ribbing as there was black yarn. I think it got about 7 rows, and then just started in stockinette. So for what the stitch counts I've been doing for my long socks lately, I've been doing 68, but I have been finding they don't fall down, but after wearing them all day, they are a bit loose. So what I thought is I'd try these with a 64 and see if that makes a difference. Now, as I was knitting along, I thought it's not necessarily going to show me anything because the shoes I wear for my commute are lace up, and so they're very fitted to the foot. The ones that I commonly wear just round and about are slip-on shoes that are higher in the ankle, so therefore there's not as much shoe holding those socks on as there is when I'm wearing the ankle socks. So it may not make any difference, but let's try the experiment anyway. Yes. So they're very short. I think they pretty much just go on my ankle bone. Is that what that's called? It's the bit that sticks out. We'll go with that. The bit that sticks out. So I think that'll be a really good length just for the commute, and then they'll be cute when I've got the shoes off and be good to go. So yeah, these will definitely be finished for next episode, so I'll show you then. 2.25mm needle, some white birch fibre arts, woolen vine yarns. Very fun project. So I realised I'm going to have to cast something else on for this afternoon because we're going out and I can't go out without any knitting. I do have the toes for those socks, but that might be a bit fiddly joining out. I just want something that's good to go. So this yarn might be the winner to take with me. This is Madeline Tosh Merino DK in the Holy Festival colourway. This is one we bought at that yarn shop, and the lady asked if we knew how much they were. Do you know how much that is? Anyway, so
Yes.
So this, they actually caked up in the shop for us, so it's been sitting in a cake ready to go. The reason I have it out is Damien and I were going to go and see the band Placebo earlier in the week, and I was going to take this as my knitting to have while we waited. And the band cancelled literally as we were walking out the door. So the lead singer was sick, unfortunately, so I hope he's okay. And yeah, we were just lucky we hadn't left the house yet, because of course some people had gotten there early, and it's no one's fault. There was nothing that could be done about it. So yes, this did not get cast on at Placebo, but it might get cast on this afternoon instead. So that's probably going to be my next whip. I might just make a knit night shawl or something like that, just something easy that I'm not sure who it would be for. It'll either, the recipient will come to me while I'm knitting, or it will be a charity project, so we'll see. So that's very fun and bright. Now, in terms of knit night shawl, for those who've watched in the past, previous episodes, that's my go-to shawl, especially when I'm traveling. So I've traveled a lot for work over the last few years. But as I may have mentioned once or twice before, I'm going to Japan later in the week. So I'm going to need some travel projects for then. So I'll be using wooden needles on the plane, just in case. And this beauty is going to be my knitting. Oh, look at that, it matches. I think I'd like this colour or something. So this is Dye for Yarn, and it's in the Bloody Black Roses colourway, and it's wool and silk. So it's got that gorgeous sheen and it feels beautiful. This was given to me, by the same person who gave me the lovely Star Wars bag, the beautiful Mel, Dubai Mel. So I think you know my colour sense, Mel. And yes, so I'm going to skein this up, get my wooden needles ready, and I'm going to be knitting a knit night shawl on the plane and around Japan, wherever. I think I might need to take, we're going for 3 weeks, so I think I might need to take at least one other project with me, because one does not want to run out of knitting, because that would be terrible. What would one do?
You might be busy with other things.
Well, I'm sure I will, but that's the thing. If you don't take it, then you'll need it. So,
okay.
Yeah. To backups. Also found where some yarn stores are in some of the cities we're going to, so yeah, to buy some souvenir yarn. And it's funny, I was saying to Sophie, the yarn team, I said, oh, well, when I go to the yarn shop, you and Dad can look at something else. And she goes, no, I want to go too, so that I can pick out yarn for you to knit me something with. We can do that. So, as I said, I think I'll take this for the plane. I might take my sock needles and some yarn to knit some socks to take around with us when we're there, but I like to use metal needles. Excuse me, leaning over. Chalgu metal needles are my preferred for sock knitting, and I have 2 circulars. You do half on one set and half the stitches on the other. So I wouldn't risk taking those on the plane, but yeah, I might cast on some socks and have them to take around with us. And then maybe a second skein in case I knit all of this and I need something for the trip back. We'll see.
What a dilemma.
Oh, I know.
Shocking.
It's lucky I have this week off work, I tell you, because it's going to take me a while. Okay, so this finished object, they are not looking as pristine as when I finished them, and I'm just picking rat hair off them as well. We have pet rats, to clarify.
Or you have a pet rat.
Yes, or the Yarnder team has 3 pet rats. Yes, YarnderMum yet to get on board with having pet rats.
I wonder why.
They're very cute. Anyway, so these are fingerless mitts for the Yarnder team. So I'll just put one on so you can see. So same pattern as the rainbow and black ones I was showing you earlier, the Ever After mitts by Susan B. Anderson. I've knit quite a few pairs of these, and the Yarnder team loves them. So last episode I showed you the purple hat, the Kit Kat hat that I knit her, and she wanted some matching gloves. So she looks very sweet while she's wearing both together. I don't have a photo of that, I'm afraid. I'll get one though, don't worry. This is, I don't have the tag anymore, it's Knit Pick Stroll. This is the fingering weight, and I believe it's the Amethyst Heather. No, I think it's the other way around, sorry. I think this is Duchess Heather, and the hat was Amethyst Heather, or it is the other way around, so it's one of the two. As always, I will link to my Ravelry projects page in the show notes, as I do every week, or every episode, because that way you can just go straight there and have a look. If I've told you the wrong thing or I've mixed up my amethysts and duchesses, you can find out which. So, whoops, I'll get that later. I cast on, so the pattern is a free pattern. I think it calls for a 54 stitch cast on, but I did 57 just to make them slightly bigger. And it's using a 2.75mm needle as per the pattern, but I did the cast off in a 3mm just so it wasn't too tight. And I did the Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy bind off at the top there. So very simple, just exactly as per the pattern, just plain stockinette. I did a slip stitch on the thumb for each row there. Very simple, great pattern, and very well loved. So YarnderMum's modelling the gloves for us here. There we go. Thank you. And the Yarnder teen, as I mentioned in the last episode, is very knit-worthy, and she's the recipient of these. So she hasn't got them yet because they're freshly blocked. That end has been woven in, I just haven't cut it off yet. So these are socks. Look at that glitter. Can you see the sparkle, YarnderMum?
Gorgeous.
So this is No Maker's Sparkle Gnome base. It says 4-ply sock weight, and it's in the Ultron colourway. And it's beautiful, variegated red, sort of a purpley red colour and grey. In the ribbing, it was sort of spiralling a little bit. So I did 68 stitches for the ribbing, 64 stitches for the leg, increased to 68 for the heel, and then kept on 68 for the foot. So the foot is slightly wider than the leg. Again, this was because, as I said, I've been finding the 68 stitches were getting a little bit baggy. Yarnder teen hasn't mentioned that, but she wears Doc Marten boots, so they'd be, holding the sock quite up. But I thought, we'll give it a try, see how it goes. So yes, the No Maker's yarn for here. And then this heel is actually the same as the heel I did on my little shorty socks, the Woolen Vine yarn in the Nevermore colourway. The reason I did that here is that I wasn't sure I was going to have enough yarn. I started with 70 grams of the No Makers, and as it turns out I probably would have, because I have 8 grams of it left, and I think I used 6 grams of the Woolen Vine for the 2 heels, so total. So I think I would have just had enough, but never mind. This way it's got a lovely look with a contrast heel, and I was guaranteed to not run out, so I can use this for some scraps. I probably will actually donate this to my work colleagues who I mentioned last week, who knit all the teddies for one of the charities. So they use all sorts of yarns and any weights, so I might give them that. That could be a Teddy's t-shirt or something, yes. So I'm very, very happy with these. Love how the colours came out, and I am a little bit jealous that I don't get to keep these. But at least, because I do all the sock washing in the house, I will at least get to see them as I'm washing them. What a privilege. And these are on my Lumi Graphica sock blockers. There we go. An Australian company. So the socks are still slightly damp, so I'll put them back on there, and we'll put them out to fully dry. And yes, that's my final FO. So I've been quite busy. I don't know when, I've been at work, but all that commute time. And socks seem to go really quickly, especially when they're on such pretty yarn.
How wonderful.
Okay, so some audiobooks. I listened to one called Friend Request by Laura Marshall. This was another one of those ones I've been into lately, sort of a thriller, mystery sort of a thing. It was pretty good, the story was good, but the audio, it was from Audible, but the editing was a bit off. There were times where lines would be repeated because the narrator is obviously redoing them. There was a time where the narrator started coughing, so whomever edited it didn't quite do their job properly. So that was a little off-putting for a professional recording, so never mind. But the story was pretty good. There was a good twist at the end, so I would recommend it. Sort of an easy read. One thing I would say, it was about 11 hours long, and the meat of the story didn't happen till right at the end, and it wasn't like lots was happening in between, so I would say it was probably a bit long and a bit drawn out, so that would be sort of my criticism of it, but still a good listen, so not too bad at all. But one book I would highly, highly, highly recommend is Slow by Brooke McAlary. So that name may sound familiar. I did mention it last time that it was coming out on a pre-order. Brooke has the Slow Home podcast as well as the Let It Be podcast, and she was my first foray into slow living and intentionality and all that sort of thing. She had a first book called Destination Simple that was released last year in Australia. That one has just been released in North America, and Slow has just been released in Australia, New Zealand. Slow will be out in North America and other areas, I think early next year, maybe spring next year. So sorry to tell you something that's so awesome when it's not necessarily available for everyone yet, but it will be soon. The audiobook is read by Brooke. She's got such a lovely, soft voice, and she talks a little bit about her journey into slow living. So for her, a lot of it was decluttering, and that's something I really want to do more of. So I found it really inspirational. So I've been doing a little bit, and I'm trying to do a bit of tidying and getting the house a bit sorted before we go away. But she is very, very inspiring for the decluttering. So I'm really going to listen to it again and find my why, as she puts it, and start refocusing on living more intentionally. I definitely do try to do that, and I've been doing more and more of it the last couple of years. But it's always good to have a refresher and a reminder. I don't think, and this is something Brooke said, there's no, there. We're not there yet. There is no there. Life is a continual journey in any kind of living. So being intentional and being more mindful, I think, is really important. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I think you've been trying to do some decluttering lately, haven't you?
Absolutely. Mate, I have an awful mess in my house.
Well, you're not quite a hoarder as such, but you were raised to never throw anything away, weren't you?
That was it.
Yes. So it's a hard habit to break, but you're getting there.
I am. Yes. It's coming along very nicely.
Yes. So yes, if you can get it now, Slow by Brooke McAlary. If you can't, see if you can pre-order it, because it'd be well worth it. And pre-ordering means that books get more buzz and publishers pick them up. So yes. And just on the topic of books, there are a few people who have mentioned lately that they want me to talk about the themed book club groups that I used to go to. And I say used to because the reason I haven't mentioned them lately is because sadly the book club is no longer together. So that's the only reason why. It's not that I've been going and not telling you. There just hasn't been any book clubs to speak of, sadly. A few people left, moved away. And so then, it's just sort of fallen away. So who knows in the future? If it does, I will let you know. But until then, it's just me reading on my own. But that's okay. In terms of other things I've been listening to, I have an audio podcast recommendation, as well as the ones I mentioned earlier. This is a new to me podcast. It's actually fairly new in general. There's only 6 episodes out. It's Mrs. M's Curiosity Cabinet, and that's run by Meg, and she's in the UK. And similar themes to what I've just been speaking about, simple living and slow living. Her values and her philosophies really speak to me. She talks a lot about sustainability, the environment, sourcing things locally, not having waste, and just fabulous. So I listened to episode 6, and I'm going back and I'm up to episode 3, so I've still got a couple more to go. It's going to be sad, soon I'm going to be out of them. But I highly, highly recommend it. She's got a beautiful, soft voice. And as I said, her values are just really strong, and I think it's a really important thing for everyone to think about. She talks about avoiding waste. So if she's sewing, for example, so she does knitting, but she also talks about some sewing. If the pattern says it needs 2.1 meters, she'll lay everything out and work out how to do it in 2 meters. So it saves resources, it saves money, and I think it's just a really good thing to do. She's also making a patchwork quilt, sort of, I suppose, in the way patchwork quilts originally were, which is just scraps of fabric. So as opposed to buying fabric to make a quilt, and I'm not criticising anyone for doing that, don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm saying. I'm explaining that that's the kind of quilt she's making, just scraps of fabric, putting them together, so it's sort of a journey of her sewing, as well as just using every single little last bit. So I really like that. As I said earlier with my little ankle socks, make whips not waste. I think it's really lovely to use everything up, and it's definitely something I want to work more on. I'm not perfect by any means in any aspect of my life, but especially not in the slow living and sustainability. I'm still very much working to refine how I do things. So yes, Mrs. M's Curiosity Cabinet, I'll put a link in the show notes, and that's definitely a good one to listen to.
And I think you are perfect.
Thanks, YarnderMum. You're not bad yourself. Isn't she lovely? Aww. Something that wasn't wasn't lovely, but it was a good film. A few episodes ago, I said I was going to the movies that night to see a movie called Killing Grounds, and there was a It's definitely not a film for you, YarnderMum. After the film, it was an Australian-made film, and after that there was a Q&A with one of the main actors, Aaron Peterson, who is an Australian actor who Damien and I really admire. So, yeah, we went off, watched the movie, and then I think we were only about 4 rows from the front anyway, but then as soon as the movie finished, we moved up to the very front row. So we were sitting right in front of Aaron Peterson. So we got to meet him at the end, which is very exciting. So we've seen him in a lot of things. I'll put a link to his bio and films so that you can have a look. But he's a fantastic actor. He's very funny. He's also an Indigenous person, and so he spoke a lot in the Q&A, not only about his acting, but his upbringing, the way he draws on his culture and his history. He spoke about how he knows wherever he goes, he's got a line of his ancestors behind him. And so he was sort of talking about how he is a representation of his entire past and all the men, because he's a man, all the men that have come before him. So that was really moving, as well as hearing his funny stories about acting and whatnot. So that was fantastic. Here is a photo of he and I together.
Where is he?
Now I'm going to insert the photo when I edit. I'll show you later.
Okay.
So yes, he's not bad on the eyes either. So that was all right.
Ooh.
Yes. As to the movie, Killing Ground. So as YarnderMum reacted, it doesn't sound very good. It is horrifically violent. And, you know, you watch things like Game of Thrones, for example, where people are being... I don't know who's watching this. I don't want to be to speak of things that are not appropriate for all ears, but you know, blood and guts essentially. You know, it's very graphic in that sense. So this was a bit more. It was very realistic, and it didn't often show the violent act. It would show the aftermath, and that was almost worse. And there was one scene, and it just opened to the aftermath of what had happened, and you could just hear everyone go, and it was just awful. So at the end, the baddie gets retribution from one of the good characters, and everyone actually cheered. So,
Cool.
So yeah, I would definitely put a caveat. Lots of trigger warnings, very violent, very good film in terms of how it's made, the writing, the acting, but yeah, very violent. So just keep that in mind. It's definitely not one for you.
Absolutely not.
No. But Aaron Peterson was great. His character was horrible. So when he came out, the MC was sort of like, oh, is everyone going to be a bit scared of you now, Aaron? Yeah. But he redeemed himself perfectly. It was fine.
What time are we supposed to go?
In about 15 minutes.
All right, that's all right. I don't want to miss it.
No, we're not missing anything.
Good. So I'm enjoying what's happening now, but I just don't want to miss.
No, we're all good. So what we're talking about not missing is Yarnder Auntie, Mum's sister Fran, who has been on the podcast before, and I quite often have photos of her on Instagram. She's an artist, has been all her life, but today is the opening of her very first exhibit. So yes, we are very excited. So that's why we're especially dolled up today. So we're heading off. It's at an very old historic building. It used to be a dairy. So obviously when I'm talking about history in Australia, Indigenous history goes back 40 to 60,000 years. So I'm talking about settlement history. So the dairy, I think, might be about 100 years old, maybe, or under. Anyway, it's no longer used as a dairy. It's now a community art hall. And every week, Yarnder Auntie and YarnderMum actually go and do artwork with other artists. So you take your colouring, don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Just love it.
Yes.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah. So, yes, my auntie is the artist in residence for the next 2 weeks. So she's going to be there actually doing artwork and speaking with people and doing engagements that way. I think in her artist in residence room, she's putting up some of your colouring. So
That's
you're
right.
You're going to be displayed as well.
I'm going to be famous.
Yes. Well, even more famous than you are here. So yes, her very first exhibit, this is the opening, so it's very exciting. So I will take some footage while we're out and about, or some photos, and I'll insert them at the end here, but that's going to be very exciting indeed, isn't it? Yes.
Absolutely.
So on that note, we will go and get ourselves organised so that we are definitely not late. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been lovely to spend some time with you, and I'm glad I was able to get YarnderMum on.
I'm so pleased that I was invited.
Yes, anytime. Yes. So as I said, if you were a prize winner, please do get in touch. I will get things, as many off in the post as I can before I'm in Japan, but otherwise I'll do them all when I get back. And yes, next time you see me, I will either be in Japan, because I'm hoping to do some filming there, or I will be just back. So either or, there'll be lots of Japan-ness to talk about. I'm going to do lots of footage and do some vlogs while I'm away. I'm not sure if I'll be able to upload them while I'm away though, but otherwise they'll be when I come back. So lots of footage, lots of Japanese knitting, I'm sure, and lots of excitement in general. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, YarnderMum.
More than my pleasure.
Lovely. So stick around if you'd like to see some photos and footage of the art exhibit. Enjoy whatever you're doing today, and happy crafting. Bye-bye. So this is the artist in residence room where Fran will be doing some work. Oh, who have we spied but YarnderMum over there?
Isn't it gorgeous here?
Are you having fun on camera?
Oh, am I?
Yes.
I'm on camera still. Oops.
All right, ready?
Ready.